In the last video, we looked at Espeon and its role as an evolution, as well as the evolution deck archetype overall, and how it has developed over the years with the additions of each new evolution card that is printed. For this video, we will be looking at Umbreon, the counterpart to Espeon, as well as all of the individual Eevee cards that have made for great evolution decks. So before we get into our first Umbreon card, let's look at the Eevee card that was basically the staple for every evolution deck all the way from jungle up through the Neo sets. Its chain reaction power made it so that you could evolve all 4 of your Eevees on the same turn as long as you had them all set up on your bench, which is why it remained the Eevee of choice even though more Eevees were released with each new set. Much like Espeon, Umbreon sticks out as a competitively viable Pokemon apart from all of the other evolutions, and also like Espeon, it has consistently cool artwork. The Neo Discovery Umbreon was first released as a promotional pack in Japan known as the Neo File 2, but was later reprinted in English for the Neo Discovery set. For reference, this is the Neo File 2. You can clearly see through the front cover an Umbreon, but when you open it up, you'll actually see that there's an Espeon and an Umbreon in there, as well as some unknown that spell out the word Neo. And then that matches the artwork that's on the back that have Espeon and Umbreon at these ruins. The Eevee promo featured in that folder was printed with different artwork in the Neo Discovery set, and honestly, it would have replaced the Black Star promo Eevee if its power didn't require a coin flip. Evolution decks are all about speed, so since the speed and consistency are hurt by the coin flip, the Black Star promo Eevee is still preferred over this one. Especially considering the hollow Umbreon from Neo Discovery and how monstrous it could be early game. If you got it set up really quick, you could utilize those special dark energies to make Bite deal more damage, and especially if you were up against a psychic Pokemon, it couldn't really do much to you because of your resistance, but you could use Feint Attack to continuously attack everything your opponent has on the bench. It used a similar strategy to that of Neo Genesis Murkrow, which is why they were often paired together. The Japan exclusive Versus series had basically no Pokemon cards that had any competitive relevance, which was the reasoning behind Wizards of the Coast never bringing them over for an English release. But the set is very popular amongst collectors for a couple of reasons. With the Versus series, they did a very unique thing with the artwork where for each trainer, which was all of the gym leaders for Johto as well as the Elite Four, they were assigned one artist. So all of Karen's Pokemon were done by the same artist, all of Faulkner's Pokemon by the same artist, etc. But Karen's Umbreon ended up not only as one of the holo rares, but also had one of the best artworks in the entire series, which is why it is so sought after by collectors. While we're on the topic of great artwork, get a load of this one. It's Mitsuhiro Arita added again with the Aquaplus Umbreon. He even did alternate artwork of the same scene, but at daytime. The daytime version was given away as a McDonald's promo in Japan. I still see people posting these two cards on his Twitter account all the time saying how it's some of their favorite artwork throughout the entire TCG. Artwork aside, it's still a really solid card too. As long as there's a dark energy attached to it, you can look at your opponent's hand once per turn, and if there's any cards there that you don't like, you can make them shuffle them back into their deck and then redraw however many cards that is. So it's a good way to try to check your opponent before their turn begins. Try to get rid of any trainer cards that could potentially harm you in that next turn. Shadowbind is another great trapping attack that's actually going to be dealing at least 40 damage as long as you're keeping that darkness energy attached to Umbreon to use Dark Moon. And getting this setup was made much easier by the Eevee that was in this format. Using Charge Up, you had the ability to search out any energy card from your deck and attach it to Eevee. This doesn't specify basic energy, so you could get Special Dark and Special Steel out of your deck too if you flip heads. The Sky Ridge Eevee and Umbreon were not as great of a pair. They didn't really see very much play competitively, but I think that this Umbreon in particular exemplifies why collectors love these cards so much. Because of the e-reader format, you get a lot of yellow. Because it's a dark type, you get the entire card black, and that really makes the Umbreon itself pop within the card artwork because it is the same colors. The Umbreon from EX Sandstorm did play its own niche role within the Eeveelutions archetype, but I wouldn't say that it was a key player. Unlike the Delta species Umbreon, which was a staple of the Delta Eeveelutions archetype, It was very important to get this Umbreon out early game so you could utilize that Delta Moon Pokebody. Special energy cards were everywhere in this format, so if you had this Umbreon out early, you would make your opponent really second guess when they wanted to lay them down and on what Pokemon, since you were going to punish them for it with this Pokebody. Because all of the evolutions within the Delta Evolutions build were also part Steel type, this deck really utilized this Eevee from Delta species that had Metal Scoop. You could deal a little bit of damage and then also search your discard pile for a discarded metal energy and attach it to this Eevee. That way you could set up whatever evolution you were going to have as your active next and go ahead and use its attack, since most of them did require at least one metal energy. But if you were running any form of evolution that wasn't Delta, then the Eevee from Unseen Forces was an absolute necessity. As long as it's not the same turn it came into play, you could evolve this Eevee just by attaching the right energy card to it. This is basically searching your deck and evolving Eevee all in one go just from one Pokepower. And that's in the same set as these monsters, each with their own Pokepower that can do devastating things to your opponent's side of the field, while abusing Eevee's ability to instantly evolve with Surprise Time Machine, which would let you devolve whatever evolution you had, attach an energy to Eevee to re-evolve straight out of your deck, and reuse those devastating Pokepowers over and over again. With this level of amazing synergy, it is no wonder that this version of Eeveelutions won second place at Worlds in 2006 as piloted by Jimmy Ballard, losing only to another very speedy deck called Meta Knight. Pictured here is Jimmy Ballard's exact deck list for his version of Eeveelutions. Umbreon EX was key in this build as its Darker Ring ability allowed you to pull out a Pokemon from your opponent's bench that was just open for attack that wasn't set up yet, and then use Black Cry to basically trap it as your opponent's active until you can knock it out, while also giving you time to utilize other Pokepowers on Jolteon EX and Espeon EX in order to spread damage on your opponent's side of the field and devolve all of their Pokemon. If you've watched the Espeon video, you know that during the 2006-2007 season for Pokemon Organized Play, you could exchange player points for special evolution cards that featured artwork of the shiny version of each As-Star Pokemon. They were all basics, and per the rule, you can only have one star card in your deck. Of the 5 evolutions available, Umbreon Star required the most player points in order to obtain. It required 70,000 player points, and for reference, here's some things you could do to obtain different amounts of points during that season. The points awarded did go up if you participated in things like regional or national championships, as well as city and state championships. But considering that each evolution card given away as a prize cost tens of thousands of points, and Umbreon was the most expensive at 70,000 points, it's no wonder that not a lot of people actually got full sets of these cards. And if you want to obtain them now, it's going to cost you about $700 per card. Moving into the Diamond and Pearl era, we saw the addition of 2 new Eeveelutions, as well as a new Eevee card that helped expedite getting as many set up as fast as you possibly could. With Call for Family, you could search out all the other Eevees in your deck and get them onto your bench, and because Eevee had 60 HP this time around, it was a little safer to leave those sitting on your bench until you could get them evolved. Ideally, you would have all of your Eevees evolved on the next turn, one of which would always be Umbreon. Because of its Pokebody, it allowed all of your Eeveelutions to retreat for free, meaning that you could freely switch back and forth between Eeveelutions and hit your opponent for whatever weaknesses you needed to at the moment. Umbreon Prime from Undaunted allowed Eeveelution decks to hit a little bit harder. With Evo Blast, you could deal 80 damage off of 3 energy, which was quite a bit for an Eevee deck. That is until the Dark Explorers expansion brought us an Umbreon that could hit for 80 damage on its own without the help of any other evolutions, as well as a Shadow Drain attack that for double colorless is also pretty great. It was later reprinted with alternate art for the black and white promos. Plasma Freeze brought a new utility Eevee that basically gave you your entire turn 2 setup with one attack, which would instantly put pressure on your opponent, as the Eeveelutions in Plasma Freeze were very versatile and could do so many different things, including Umbreon, which once again found itself as a staple of this version of Eeveelutions because it would give an extra 20 HP to all of your Eeveelutions, since all of them were Team Plasma Pokemon. Although it was never one of the big archetype decks, it was a really great rogue deck. You would see it pop up a lot at the very end of the black and white sets, as well as very early in the X and Y format. With Fates Collab, we got a new Umbreon EX, which had a really good refresher attack in Veil of Darkness, and I think this card was meant to be an anti-mega card for the format. However, it never really saw that much use, as you couldn't really knock out a lot of megas with endgame to really utilize that attack very well. But it did get a very colorful, collectible full art variant, so that's something. Continuing with appealing artwork and very situational attacks, we got an XY promo for Umbreon that you could get in blister packs, and I think it was really meant just to sell blister packs because people would just want the Umbreon. Umbreon GX from the Sun and Moon set gave us a really good control card once again in Umbreon and allowed you to strand Pokemon as your opponent's active and then kind of beat up on the bench as well. I had some fun running this card with Zoroark GX online. It was nothing revolutionary, but it was a really fun way to run a mono dark deck. Umbreon GX and Espeon GX were made more usable by the return of Energy Evolution as an ability on the Sun and Moon Eevee, which by the way got a stunning reprint with some ultra shiny artwork that I'm still waiting on for the English release. And don't think that Umbreon GX was left out of the alt art game because it has 4 alternate artworks. The Lost Thunder Umbreon is surprisingly a really great revenge killer, especially for non-GX decks. Its low energy cost combined with the Sun and Moon Eevee make it a decent haymaker card for the Dark type. And finally, we have the recently revealed Umbreon and Darkrai Tag Team GX card, again with some great art by Mitsuhiro Arita. Although the energy cost for this card is pretty high for the attacks, Dead Moon GX is pretty fucking amazing. If you've got the extra 5 energy on it, this could potentially stop your opponent from playing trainers next turn and get you 1 to 3 prize cards. So if you can take the time to actually build up the energy on this thing, it could be really scary for your opponent if they're using another tag team card, which is a bit surprising considering that this card's going to be part of a theme deck as a counterpart to the Espeon Deoxys GX tag team. And of course, you never can really tell how viable a card will be until you see it within the actual metagame, but I am very excited to see how this card lands. Let me know down in the comments if you have a favorite Umbreon card or if you have any experiences using Umbreon in a competitive format. I really appreciate all of you that watch and comment and subscribe. It really drives me to create more content and upload, so look forward to a whole slew of decks that are going to be uploaded soon. And until next time, guys, bye-bye.